My girlfriend cheated on me and left me for her dying ex-boyfriend. I received their text last week and haven't been the same since. I took her old iPad for work, and her Facebook account was still hooked in. I was about to go on to my messenger since I had forgotten my phone at home and message her. But then I saw she had messages from her ex-boyfriend. Let's give him the name Andre. She and Andre were together for 2 years. They were each other's first love, and she never told me what occurred. I met her a year and a half after they split up on a vacation to California with my family. Other than the fact that they dated in high school and college, I knew nothing about him. When I met her, we hit it off right away. She took me around LA, and living in Australia wasn't an issue. We were in a long-distance relationship for a year until I collected enough money to relocate her to another nation. Aside from that, it took me months to get a job in Los Angeles so that I would be financially stable when I arrived. We're still going strong 3 years later. So I reasoned, away. That's when I realized what was going on. I won't go into specifics, but the one message that struck out was her talking about leaving me for a few months to take care of him. He has cancer, which is in its early stages, and he believes he will die. In one of his messages to her, he requested whether she would come to his place to see him. And I'm quite sure she did, since they expressed how much fun they had together and how nice it was to catch up. It's been a week since I discovered the truth. She has no idea I knew, or that I got her old iPad out of its box and read their texts for 2 days. She has absolutely no clue. She believes everything is okay between us, but I want to wait for a long time and physically damage myself. I have no pals in LA. They've all returned home and are enjoying their own lives. I don't want to speak about it with anybody since thinking about it too deeply hurts. When it boils down to it, I think she never really loved me, and I'm still struggling to accept that. I'm at a loss about how to handle this. I've drafted my resignation letter for work and informed my parents that I'll be returning home perhaps next month. When I was truly angry, I did both. I just need advice on how to proceed. I don't want to speak to her about it. I can't even look her in the eyes without breaking down. Please advise me on what to do and how to handle the situation properly. I'm thinking of leaving while she's at work right now. Update. I eventually told my girlfriend about it, and she is now my ex-girlfriend. In the space of a few hours, a lot of things that I never anticipated to happen occurred. I could tell she was going to weep as soon as she opened the door to our flat. Seeing her so vulnerable stung because I didn't want to put her in that situation. I had to convince myself all the time that none of this was my fault. We sat down, and there were many tears. I expected to be bitter, furious, and yelling at her the whole time, but instead I was disappointed. I informed her that I had seen the texts and described how I ended up reading through their whole chat. She kept telling herself that she simply felt terrible for him, and that she didn't know how to say no to him since they had a long history. Then I reminded her that we had a far longer family history than they have. I was there for her when she was at her lowest, and I helped her climb back up. She acknowledged to having intercourse with him more than 3 times. I had a gut hunch it was coming, but hearing her confirm it hurt so much. At that time, I was sobbing uncontrollably. I can't recall part of what occurred since my head was racing. It is still the case today. I recall telling her that I was finished, that whatever we had was over. She knelt in front of me and begged me to forgive her. I don't believe I'll ever be able to. People that cheat irritate me. By that moment I'd packed about 1/3 of my belongings. She must be happy with him if she can do this to me. A Redditor contacted me after I made my first post and offered me a place to stay. He took me up from his house, which was just about 15 minutes away from ours. He'll also assist me with selling a lot of my belongings that I won't be able to carry back home, as well as in gathering all of my belongings in my flat. We both agreed not to name him in this post. I'm pleased I opened myself to this community rather than keeping it to myself. Thank you to everyone who offered me a spot as well. It's almost 3 a.m. and I'm as devastated as ever, but I'm doing my best. This morning, I sent my resignation letter to work. Every member of my family is now aware of my plight and has volunteered to help. I'm going to travel home as soon as feasible. Please let me know if you reside in or around Chapel Hill, Australia. America, you were fantastic, but it's time to go home. Thank you for your assistance, everyone. Edit. I'm weeping again, not because I was dumped, but because I realized there is an entire world out there that really cares about my well-being. I can't believe I considered harming myself as a method to escape the anguish. I am both amazed and grateful for this community. Anthony and his wife, as well as the Redditor who assisted me in saying this was the most wholesome thing that had ever occurred to him. I may have lost a girlfriend and a prospective wife, but I gained a slew of new friends, friends for life. Aside from that, I'm feeling better. It's still odd that she's gone, but what can a guy do? She made her decision and I made mine. I awoke to texts from her family telling me not to hurry things and that she's foolish and makes errors like everyone else. It's a shame I won't be able to visit her family for a long time. They were wonderful people. I thanked them and explained that, although I believe in second chances and that everyone makes errors, cheating is a decision, never a mistake. X also emailed me at approximately 5 a.m. The email was too lengthy, and my eyes were hurting from sobbing, so I deleted it right immediately. I miss her terribly. I know it will take a long time to heal me, but I suppose I'll just have to wait. P.S. Once I've read through all of the comments, I'll contact my newfound Aussie pals. The specific date of my travel has yet to be determined, but I'm aiming to be home by next month. Story 2. I can't get over a guy that I didn't even date. I've never had a relationship that lasted more than 3 months. I, 21 female, had been chatting to this man, 22 male, for over a year, and a little over a month ago I began to suspect it was serious. We'd had a few issues earlier, but everything was okay now, and he finally appeared to enjoy me. As you can guess from the title of this piece, it didn't last long, and shortly after he informed me that he wasn't good enough, and that he needed to improve before getting into a relationship. That's great. I stayed inside the boundaries, and we're still close friends. That's part of the problem, since I just can't seem to get over him. I find that I sometimes get carried away and don't think of him as a friend, and I often want him to care about me in the same way that a S/O does, rather than in the manner that a friend does. We weren't even dating at the time, and I know I fell in love too quickly. I would sever ties if I could bring myself to do so, but I can't. Not only are all of our friendships reciprocal, but I don't have any other pals outside this group. He's really important to me, and I still want to be around him, but I also want to stop hoping for him to like me again, and for things to be the same way they were before. I've never felt so bad over a breakup, and it wasn't really a breakup. I believe I cared for him much more than he did for me, and I still do, but I know I can't cut him off totally. Any suggestions? I realize that not wanting to cut him off is probably me hoping he'll change his mind, but I just know it's not something I can do right now. I cared about him more than anybody else, and I've never been able to be as open with anyone as I am with him.